Listen, man, what if Chris Moore,
Hey,
Titans wide receiver 5, is the guy you need? Just kick the show
hey.
off.
And that's how we go, guys. Chris Moore on what could be the best edition of the Underdog Fantasy Occupy Fantasy Best Ball Streams of the summer. You heard it here first with Chris. We've got 4 hosts today. So, guys, how we doing? Best ball season's winding down. We're all burned out on drafts, but we're here for another night or two. And how we feeling?
Dude, I feel like that Popeye's exhausted employee meme. That's how I am right now, drafting like 2, 3 drafts at a time, and the season cannot get here soon enough. What's up, guys?
Oh man, I've been drafting 4 at a time, and the mistakes are it's crazy.
I will say, I don't know, Chris and Ken. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The drafts aren't as soft as we've seen
Mhm.
on the Tuesdays and Wednesdays leading up to the season, as we've seen in years past. You guys think that's going to change? What about you, Chris?
I don't know, man. These drafts are pretty wild. We've seen some crazy picks in the first round. Garrett Wilson going in the top 5 almost regularly has been the most surprising thing that I have seen. I think the ADP saying that he's going around pick 14 is just a complete fabrication. We've been completely swindled, bamboozled, and led astray on that. But you know what? We'll just take advantage of the board here in the last few drafts that we can get in. And I know we've got about 3% or so of the entire field left here in Best Ball Mania 4. So, if you guys are still drafting that, hopefully you can take advantage of some of the chaos here.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and enter it right now if anyone's watching wants to draft. We're all going to be putting our input into this, so this is probably going to be the super team of Occupy Fantasy for this NFL season. See how it goes.
Yeah,
Oh,
we should. You know what? We should have done this on Ken's account so we get the tax-free 3 million. But
ah,
That would have been nice. Yeah, that would have been a good move. I don't have 600 teams like you guys, so we could keep track easier. I think.
just label this one the winner. I only have a dozen or so drafts I labeled winner in
oh,
my
really?
portfolio, so I tried to label them from the beginning, but once you get into like doing a dozen a day, I just don't care anymore. I'll see how they are halfway through the season, and we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
you can either label them dead or alive in like week 6.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
a good plan. I like that plan, actually. That's pretty good. I was thinking about how I was going to manage that. So let's go with that plan. We got the 10th pick tonight. All right. So I think I did this in the last show that we did together, Chuck. I want to know what Ken and Brian think. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second half of the last half of the first round. What do you guys think about that? Is that a good move or is that a bad move? I've seen a lot more of it. I'm sure you guys have too. All the drafts we're jamming in.
Ken, I'll go first. Basically, every draft I've been doing for the past 2 weeks in the second half of the first round, I've been taking either Amon-Ra or Bijan. And I think Chuck and I were talking before the show that in August, instead of trying to diversify the portfolio, it's mostly just been jamming the guys that you like at ADP that fit with your correlation. So Bijan and Amon-Ra have been those guys for me. Kim, what do you think?
I like that a lot. Now that I think we can declare Cup dead. That after Jefferson, Hill, and Chase, I mean, I think Amon Ra's number 4 there. Like he's pretty close, and he should be right up there. So he's definitely something I would look for.
That's honestly how I have it projected. I've got Amon-Ra right behind that group. I'm pretty high on Jalen Waddle. I've had him rise in my rankings a little bit. I would even consider him at the end of round 1. Maybe that's aggressive at this point, but I think Amon-Ra is firmly a top 5 wide receiver at this point.
I don't hate Jalen Waddle at the end of the first round, just that we're going to get him with players that he's typically not drafted with, and uniqueness matters a bit, but just getting those combos of guys whose ADPs don't quite match up could be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, on that angle, I prefer if you're drafting this many teams for those types of unique combinations to just fall to you when
Mhm.
like random ADP stuff happens. Like you get
Yeah.
Waddle late second, you end up with Chase and Waddle or something like that, or as opposed to forcing it. I've even seen like on like players with badges like drafting crazy players at 2 overall or 4 overall or like 10th overall, like 10 spots above ADP. I do not like that.
So are we going with Amon-Ra? We hyped him up. Cooper Cup is on the board. I don't think we're taking him.
I'd rather take the guy with 2 working hamstrings.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I think we have to. We talked about him too much
Yeah.
not to.
We talked ourselves into this corner. Let's make it happen. Amon-Ra it is.
The thing I don't hate, like I've been doing this a lot, and I'm still getting one of these guys up to Pollard or Devontae in the second round, and not that I'm super indifferent between them, but there's not that big of a difference. That if Amon Ra is our guy, just take him and then see what's available at 15. Like we're gonna have a choice of three pretty top guys right here.
Yeah. All right. Question. Well, let's take this player. Then I have a question.
Are we
It's
taking
not-
CD or Tony?
You said you have a bunch of CD and Amon Ra from like 10 months ago, right?
Yeah, 27% of my CD Lamb shares are with Amon Ra as well.
But only 7% of Tony Pollard. Is that how that
Hmm.
reads?
Yeah, but cool either way. Are we going Tony, CD?
I like Tony. That's my vote personally.
All right,
Tony.
Chris spoke, so that's what we're doing. Tony Pollard. It's a great start already.
All right. Here's the question I want to ask. We talked about Cup visiting a body specialist for multiple days. I don't know of a worse sign for a football player. I've never even heard of of a body specialist until 2 days ago. Where is the earliest you guys are drafting Cup in best ball on either site? Let's go from the top down, Chuck, all the way down to Ken.
I think I would take Cup over Calvin Ridley right here. So 23. Is that too late?
Okay.
Chris.
All right. Yeah, I'm not looking at the order on the screen. This is where that plan falls completely apart, Brian. I said on the last show, my answer's still the same here. I think about missing about a month is the risk I'm baking in. So for me, I'm taking him right after Christian Watson.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
I think so. I have taken him at 23 paired with Jamar Chase because I feel like it's probably dead, but if it's not dead, that's a really tough combo to beat. I think in all actuality, I probably wouldn't take him until the third round.
I think, I mean, you can't take Cup because he's still going top 20, and I think it's got to be later. Like he's seeing a guy in Minnesota, in like a rural Minnesota, whatever doctors they hide out there. They can even get a guy in California. So how can you take Cup? And I mean the Rams are so like they're going to be a bad team. Have we seen this lineup? And by week 10, like if they got shut him down, like they will, because there's no point. They're going to be like 1-9. So I mean, at that point, you're hoping for a trade to a good team, but I don't even know what he's looking for. So I don't think you can take Cup because he's still going like 20. He just went 20 here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think people are
Ken,
going to take him.
super out on the Rams this year is what I just took away. Just completely out on the 1-9 Rams after 10 weeks.
So if I didn't have a bunch of Cooper Cup already, I feel like I would be want to be scooping up this ADP value. And so there's two sides. Like I want to have my Cooper Cup percentage lower in my portfolio in these last few drafts, but there's also something about getting him like lowering my average ADP, but I don't know that matters that much. So if I didn't have any Cup, I'd probably be taking more around pick 20 to 24 maybe, but because I have a bunch, I just don't see the need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been in this game for a while. I think we can read between the lines on a lot of injuries. And this isn't like a 3 or 4 spot ADP drop where we think we can take advantage. I mean, this seems pretty bad.
All right. We are on the clock again. Obviously we can get back into that. We've got a Pollard Amon Ra correlation here with the Cowboys and the Lions in week 17. Do we want a receiver? I know Ken likes Amari Cooper. We've got Debo. We've got Keenan Allen. We've got DJ Moore, Etienne, and Mixon at running back. I mean, what do you guys think we should do here?
Cooper is my top pick here.
I'm cool
I
with
don't
that.
disagree. All right, let's do Cooper.
Let's do Cooper. Yeah, I don't know. It's like Brian asked me before the stream, am I drafting a lot of the same guys over the past month, or am I trying to balance my portfolio? And this is like with Amon Ra, Cooper, and then either Pollard or CeeDee Lamb. That's so much of my exposure from the 10, 11, 12 pick, but I think it's right. I think it's the best combo, so it's just like what I'm going with.
Can't blame you, man. I mean, it just gets exhausting to the point where it's like, all right, these guys I think by far are the best value, so I'm just going to keep hammering them. So
yeah, and it's a little different in a contest like BBM where people have been drafting all summer, but like the Puppy 4 dropped today, and so I haven't done a draft in there yet. I have 0 combos of these guys, so I'm going to take as many combos of these guys as I can just because I'm not going to be able to get it every time anyway. So do we want to go? What are we thinking here?
I'm fine personally with just going right down the line at receiver. I love Keenan Allen. I love what the Chargers are going to do there. That would be my vote.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I would trust ADP on this one. I think this is
Brian, any objections?
these picks are tough spots, man.
Yeah, I just hate this entire round. I have no objection. We haven't really done much correlation yet, but we got plenty of room in the draft for that.
Yeah, we have our week 17 correlation with these guys. It's going to be a little tough to correlate everybody, but there's a couple teams that we can get. Denver and Buffalo look like they're going to have double correlations here. So
Yeah,
With all these guys, I mean, like even these spots, they all have question marks. Like Keenan Allen, another year on his legs, and Amari Cooper is like you hope he slides in, but Watson didn't even look that good. And then, I mean, all these running backs could get like they've all got backups that could still work. So there are a lot of question marks around both round 3 and 4, I think.
dude, honestly, I know they're not gonna, or people don't think they'll throw a ton, but I think Drake London is the safest pick in this range.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I can get down with that. I like Drake.
But like, you gotta throw the ball accurately. Are you really trusting Desmond Ridder on that one? Or?
I don't know, man. If I don't know, no, I guess not.
I could see Heineke. Like, I don't like. I think Arthur Smith would be the guy. If Ritter sucks for like 2 weeks, it's like, all right, we'll put Heineke in there. It's like he can throw it, right? So
Right.
that's a good pick.
can Ritter be worse than Marcus Mariota? Not that he. I mean, was Marcus Mariota terrible last season?
Yeah, he was. He was pretty bad. Yeah. Which I don't get it, man. I feel like he has all the tools. We're not gonna turn this into a Marcus Mariota stream, but like I just don't get why he's not good. I truly don't.
Well, speaking of Mariota, Kyle Pitts. I took a lot of Kyle Pitts early last year because Marcus Mariota loved throwing to his tight ends previously, and then he just stopped. But him going at 45 is, we're still getting some good draft value, I guess, here by guys reaching for these guys so far.
All right.
What do we think about Jonathan Taylor, right? Was that where you're going to go, Brian? Because he finally came off the board. I'm absolutely not drafting him at all anymore. And I think, Chuck, you and I
I'm not
talked
drafting
about
him in
that.
the fourth, dude.
Yeah, I just
Dude, no chance.
minimum 4 games out. Doesn't even want to play for the team that currently owns him. It just seems bad.
I've done a lot of drafts in the past week or two since we had the news, and I've taken him exactly 3 times. I think twice in the 70s, and then one I got him at like pick 97. And so with that, I'm comfortable taking the risk because if my 9th round pick doesn't work out, it's not going to kill my team. And if it does work out, the reward is pretty high.
That's true. Well, Ken, give us the rural Minnesota doctor version take of Jonathan Taylor and why we're not drafting him.
I mean, I think they'll trade him to one of these teams will pay up for him, like whether it be a Green Bay or, like, I mean, Miami's probably the best spot because they've got like Mostert and Wilson. They're good guys, but they're not your A1 guy. And whatever team trades for Taylor, like he's gonna produce there. But I mean, there's a lot of question marks, and round 4 is probably a bit too early. But like, I'm not totally opposed if he slides a bit that you could take Taylor here.
All right. Not as harsh as the Cooper Cup take, I guess. But what I was going to ask was about Kyle Pitts. I don't know if you guys saw this article in The Athletic. Apparently, I mean, the Falcons beat reporters just don't think Pitts has any shot of producing this year. There have been like multiple Athletic articles having him at like 4th in targets. There was another one that dropped today or yesterday. How much do we?
4th?
Yes, dude. Mac Hollins was projected for more. Again, granted, these guys are not fantasy prognosticators by any means, but they are just very down on Kyle Pitts.
So it's London and Hollins. Who's the third guy that's going to see more targets than Pitts? The running backs? Is that?
Bijan, right?
Yeah,
Bijan? Okay. Because there's really no one else on the roster that could. I don't know, dude. Honestly, Pitts, I have 0% in BBM for, so I'm okay with that if that pans out. Because honestly, I'm already sort of taking that stance as it is in my portfolio. But I do think that's a bit too far in the other direction. Let's think about the position again in fantasy, and if we exclude him from the big top 5 of, Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Waller, Kittle, I mean, he's got to be in that next group. So even if you think he's not going to be like this dominant force,
I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris, but what are we doing here? My defaults are Lockett and Godwin. Are we going anywhere else? Aaron Jones?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
The receivers.
I'm cool with it. I as a point here, I feel like I do not have enough Darren Waller, and his ADP just keeps rising. So I feel like I'm just going to be stuck from the sidelines watching him just blow up this year.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I drafted a bunch because I don't have that many BBMs, but I drafted a bunch of them when I was in on Darren Waller at around pick 70. So I'm pretty comfortable not taking him anymore and just hoping that that works out.
Dude, he's going in like the 4th on DK. It's crazy. It's like it's
Yeah.
unobtainable.
Well, their ADPs update so much quicker than Underdog, and so I think there's so many more inefficiencies over there.
Yep.
Just compared to here, it's just it's a lot different. So what are we
Do we have
thinking
a-
here? Are we
Do we
interested
have a
in Terry
lean on?
McLaurin?
Do we
Go
have a
ahead, Chris.
lean on which quarterback you want, Chuck? Like, just looking at the receivers we got. Are you willing to wait there, or do you want to reach for one of these guys that's coming up soon?
My default is usually just Goff or Geno Smith when I have this type of start, but
Okay.
I'm open to other options.
I think my preferred receiver here would definitely be Godwin. I don't really care about Dobbins or Miles Sanders. James Cook is kind of interesting to me because he won't be there when he comes back to you. But so probably
Mhm.
Godwin or James Cook would be where I would go here.
Brian, Ken, we good with Godwin?
I'm cool with
Yeah.
Godwin.
I think I would have liked McLaurin.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't know how good Howell was, so apparently he's the greatest, and they gotta produce. I mean, I'm surprised that that Chris, you're not like lower on Tampa. I think you've been pretty high on Tampa the whole time, and I mean their pass rate is gonna go down, and they're not gonna be. I mean, they're gonna take a step back for sure. So I don't know if Godwin and Evans can do that again this year.
I just think the price is a little overcorrected. Yeah, they're not going to pass at an all-time, rate in the NFL, be the highest passing team. They're not going to ask Baker Mayfield / Kyle Trask to throw the ball 800 times, but they're also going to suck. They're also going to have to pass a lot to stay competitive in these games. So I think they still end up with a at least league average pass rate, which means these guys can challenge for 120, 130 targets. And I think that puts them in that third, fourth round range, not the sixth round. So that's kind of why I keep selecting them. And they're two of my highest owned players overall, Godwin and Mike Evans this year. And I'm comfortable being on that hill. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I just think we overcorrected a little too far on those players this year.
Have you guys been seeing Dotson being taken ahead of McLaurin pretty consistently?
Every
now
time.
that he has his status is in doubt for week 1. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I'm seeing Sutton go ahead of Jerry Jeudy a bit, and I think that's probably incorrect because Jerry Judy's not on the pup list. Like they expect him to play within the first 4 weeks. He's already getting some work in. I think that he should probably be going ahead of where his ADP is now, but he's falling.
I will say I like that Jackson Smith and Jigba's ADP has dropped, and where he's not being taken ahead of Tyler Lockett every single time now. Much more, and it sounds like he might even play week 1. So
Yeah,
That
JS.
that ADP spot is kind of interesting now, though, with JSN and Addison right next to each other. What do you guys think straight up? Who's the better one to own there?
Bro, I was thinking we should take Addison last pick to get if we're going to take Goff later. That way, but I like Addison a lot. I'll just say that.
As did the Sabat Tau, whatever this guy's name is. So that's no longer an option. But I do not nearly have as much Jordan Addison as you, Brian. So if that's the guy you need this year, GG.
Yeah, I've been on KJ Osborne, kind of similar to Quentin Johnson versus Joshua Palmer. I'm just taking the later guy and hoping that the player who's already been in the NFL has similar production or maybe even better.
I think it's a fair take. If there is anything, well, there are probably a lot of things wrong with how I've been drafting, but if there's the number one thing, I've been very reliant on rookie and second year players.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this pans out.
All right, let's. What are we thinking for our next pick? What direction do we want to go?
April showers, Zay flowers.
Yeah, right.
And this is probably the one preseason touchdown I saw him score. But
I mean, he's been unguardable, dude.
he's like electric, eh? And Baltimore, they should be a good team, and all this hype with Monken, and I think it's fair that he's won because I already know he's better than Odell. Nobody's telling me that Odell is there or Bateman. It's not Bateman. It's gonna be Flowers.
I think I was telling people in our draft yesterday, if you haven't been following that closely, if you're a casual fan or even you're just getting back into the NFL this week, watching week 1 you're going to be super shocked when you see these Baltimore Ravens. It's not going to be the Baltimore Ravens of
Yeah.
the past couple of years. We're going to see 3-4 wide and slinging it. And if you haven't been reading anything, you're going to be completely surprised by how this happens.
Cam Akers is falling a bit. I think I wonder if that's because more people are catching on to Kyron Williams in the last round. There's times when he's not available in the 17th for me, when usually he was always there in the 18th a few weeks ago. But what are we thinking here? There's a lot of good running backs. I know that we're in on Pittman. I was in on Brown, but that's getting a little bit scary.
I'm more in, if we're talking about Arizona, on James Conner here, just as a pure volume based play. He's definitely going to get the touches. But yeah, Pittman is very nice as well, especially if we want to double dip later with a very interesting quarterback prospect.
Do you want to take James Conner as our RB2 here?
I'm down with that. I think we all like Connor. Well, I don't know Ken's thoughts, but I think that's at least the three of us like Connor. Ken, are you in on old man James Conner?
Man, I was in, and now I've soured so much on Arizona, which is probably wrong. But I mean, they're gonna struggle to win games, and they're not gonna run a lot. And I don't know if he's fully healthy. And like come week 13 or 14, they're out of it. Like they just might want to see what they have in like other guys. I think it's James Conner like a free agent year, but I'm not sure about that. But I think it is. So I don't know if he gets dinged up, they might even sit him out.
I mean,
we could get it bailed out, right? Like by mid-season trade deadline comes up. Arizona's punting. They're looking to 2024. Connor's been a beast. He's healthy. Maybe somebody else is injured. Maybe that's another way we can get there with James Conner. But I just think the volume's pretty safe. This was a player that proved he could handle it last year. He's not that much older. He's already on kind of the wrong side of the age curve and had a pretty good season. So I also think the risk here is super low in the 8th round. So that's the other reason why I think it's pretty good.
Did we want to go for Deshaun? I like taking DeAndre Swift, Brandon Cooks, Sky Moore, Khalil Herbert.
I definitely like the extra Dallas correlation if we're going to go the direction of Dak later potentially. I like having Philadelphia running back as well. We don't really need Deshaun if that's not something you want to prioritize.
Okay. Well, I tried to randomize it. Gave us DeAndre Swift, which at pick 87,
All right.
I think he's just.
I have not seen that strategy, and that is interesting. Have you been doing that for 650 best balls? This little randomizer.
No, I usually just ask Siri to flip a coin, but I didn't have time to right there. Just because it shows 0 on the clock and it still takes a couple seconds, and so
Yeah.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of this start. I've had so many starts that are like this in terms of wide receiver versus running backs. How often, what percentage would you guys say you're actually building running back early? Like two guys in the first 3 rounds, maybe, or 3 in the first 6 at running back.
I think I'm doing it 1 out of 3, which is more than I would expect. But like I've been talking about all summer, just I think the value in these top running backs, especially now, is a bit higher. So
maybe honestly like 10% of my rosters, if that. I'm usually 1 running back early. I usually have 2 by about round 8 or 9, but they're not usually coming in the first four rounds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd be something like that too. I mean, I think there's so many good receivers nowadays. Like I think you pass up a lot if you go 2 or 3 running backs super early. You miss out a lot on a lot of guys there.
I should say I'm doing it more on the other side, where there's still crazy value in the receivers available in rounds, 6 through 10, and even a little bit later, where over here it's a little bit harder.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. I mean, there have even been some drafts where I haven't taken a running back until like round 9 or 10. I'm really heavy on a lot of those guys in that range, like the 9 through 12 range, like the Gibson, Charbonnet through Tank Bigsby-ish, Devin Ashane range, something like that.
Are we interested in Deshaun Watson almost 2 rounds past ADP?
Yeah.
I think now we have to be.
Okay.
Especially
we got Cooper, yeah. I think for like the drafts where you go super wide receiver heavy and you end up with running backs, it's not even that bad if you can get guys like Gibson or even if you
Mhm.
wait even longer. I mean, you said Charbonnet, but like even like a Ty J Spears, like if Derrick Henry goes down or anyone else, and you've got Tank Bigsby or whoever, and you've got like stacked at wide receiver, like that's a better strategy than going two studs early and then pass up on all the receivers there.
Yeah, I agree with both. I think the reason why I like taking the running backs early is just because it allows me to draft one or two less than I typically would. I'll
Yeah,
stop at
I
four or
can see
five,
that.
and then I can load up. There's a lot of like deep shot wide receivers that I really like towards the end of drafts. So pick Deshaun Watson here.
Okay. So now that we have Watson, Cooper, are you going to try to prioritize more of Chicago Jets, Houston players to get that playoff correlation?
Well, unfortunately, my top playoff correlation for this type of team is Tyler Conklin, who I think is just one. Him and Dawson Knox, I think, are the two most undervalued tight ends here. There were some reports out of camp that Conklin was Aaron Rodgers' second favorite target. Whether that remains true in the season, who knows? But either way, if Conklin does exactly what he did last year, I think he's an awesome value at ADP 190. Usually as a tight end two, not hopefully not my tight end one.
I'm sorry to break the news, Chuck, but it was actually CJ Uzama and not Conklin that was with Aaron Rodgers at U.S. Open. So we'll see how these friendships blossom.
Is CJ Uzama in the NFL?
Yeah, oh, he's definitely in the NFL.
I would
Bengals
say
legend.
he's known more for his Kay Adams pursuits and his Broadway appearances
Do we
than his
want to
on the
go Njoku, Boyd, Geno Smith?
I mean, we get the Njoku double stack with
The
Deshaun.
double stack, that seems pretty clear here now that we have Deshaun. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay. As you guys saw, I had 1% Njoku, so if we need Njoku, this is going to be the team.
1.1% now.
Yep.
Well, there's no team you'd rather cheer for than the Browns this year, so
God.
that's what we're going for.
All right. Non-zero chance Dorian Thompson-Robinson starts a game this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Due to performance.
Yes. He played well in the preseason, but we're more talking about, and this is obviously great off the heels of taking him 2 rounds late. We're more talking about the performance of Watson, correct? We're a little skeptical here still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make me nervous because Amari Cooper is one of my biggest leans in the third round, especially towards the end of the third round. And I think I took a lot of Donovan Peoples-Jones as well, so I have a lot riding on Deshaun Watson not being bad. Probably at like 10%.
You have 10% Watson?
Oh, no. I probably have 5 or 6.
10%? Okay.
10% DPJ.
I have DPJ as a receiver I do not have. I have much more Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. I will say that. I've got about 8% Watson at this point, so I'm in line with the field.
Okay, I probably have 2 or 3% Elijah Moore. I'm having trouble getting there after his ADP came above pick 100 or before pick 100.
I think when you're taking Watson at ADP, especially at the back of the draft there where you are, Chuck, maybe at the 11th or 12th pick, it's a lot easier to double tap the two right there at that 8-9 turn or the 7-8 turn, excuse me, and get like your double stack with Amari or Nick Chubb, depending on how you started. So that's kind of how I've been doing it.
I'd be surprised if they bench Watson, because I think if they go 0-4 or 0-5 to start, that's Stefanski that's probably gone, and they stick with Watson there. But I mean, at that rate, it's probably a dead team anyways if that happens.
Do they have a pretty tough opening schedule? Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Baltimore, week 5 bye, and San Francisco in week 6. So it's not easy, but
yeah,
0-5. That looks like 0-5. I mean, right here, you guys heard it first. We can go bet Stefanski, first coach fired.
Who's got a harder start in your mind, Ken? Is it the Browns there, or is it the New York Jets?
Oh no, the Jets, they might run through the table with what we've been hearing about Rodgers, and when they go up to, or I guess they play Buffalo and they play all those guys, and it might be doom and gloom for the Jets too. They might be 1-5 or something like that early on.
Do we want to go for Jared Goff here, be done at quarterback, and lock up that Week 17 correlation we already have going?
Yeah, I kind of like going the double tap here with both Goff and Laporta.
Oh, I do like that as well. That's interesting. We get our tight ends out of the way early too.
Yeah, we can stop at 2 tight ends probably. I'm typically a 3 tight end drafter, but I also don't typically take tight ends this early, so That sounds great. I didn't notice we had 4
trying
wide
to-
receivers with a week 5 bye, so we'll just draft a few more and hopefully it won't matter.
A few more on week 5, right? Just
Yeah,
get
just
8 guys with week 5, and then
just weekly winners style.
yeah. Have you
I
been
think-
drafting those, by the way? The
Weekly
winner?
winners? No, I think I have 5 total, and I did the one on stream. I think it was with Moose, and I think we just didn't like it. It just came out, so none of us had gone into the strategy, and we drafted it really poorly. And then I have 4 slow drafts, so I could sit there and think about my picks. And I'd like to get in more, but I just feel like I'd rather put my money into other contests.
That's fair.
We've got weekly winners. Week 1, Thursday Night Football, Sam Laporta, first touchdown, system play, tight end. After night, the white tight end zone, Goff to Laporta. We're making it happen there.
We got double white tight ends in this game coming up, Ken. Let's make it happen. Kelsey and Laporta. You need them both.
Boys,
We're playing
we're so
Laporta.
close.
We're playing Laporta at captain on the other sites there. We think that's in play. Oh man, now we're way off the rails.
It's
Have
gotta
you
be
guys-
in play.
We could do that in a. Have you guys drafted any battle royales yet? I doubt that Sam Laporta is getting drafted, but actually, I don't know the format of battle royale if it includes the Thursday night game, but that's an idea.
Interesting.
Who's
I have not started
who's
looking at
tight end
those yet.
2 for the Lions?
Are we? We're in the 12th round here, and you want to know who the second tight end on the Detroit Lions is? I believe it's Brock Wright. It's either Brock Wright or James Mitchell. I unfortunately know the answer to this question.
Well, yeah, that's the guy that's gonna catch the touchdown.
That's true.
And not Laporta. If you have all this Laporta, they're gonna drop a play for Brock Wright for no good reason because it happened all of last year, so they're gonna do it again.
$200, Brock Wright on Thursday Night Showdown.
So it looks like I have drafted Brock Wright once, which I have no
Why?
idea. I have no idea, but it shows I have 2% with Amon Ra, so I have no idea.
That
It
was-
might just be an error, but
AFK pick, yeah.
Dude,
'Cause I don't know.
Well,
I've done a lot of drafts, so there's definitely going to be some weird stuff in my exposures, and that's one of them.
that's
You
got to
don't
be
remember
pre-draft,
clicking?
right?
Yeah.
This is only including a post big board, so
Oh, shit.
I don't even know because that's not an auto pick option ever. So
listen, if Brock Wright and Cavante Turpin with the Cowboys is the game stack you need, Ken is halfway there.
We're gonna get Turpin his touchdown this year. I've been betting him too many times to not come through. Turpin kick return, and I've also burnt a lot of money on Brandon Powell on the Rams for a kick return. $200 showdown play. I mean, these guys gotta get one this year.
Turpin's
one.
he's too electric not to, dude. He's got to.
Well, I mean, he was better than Zeke Elliott, but McCarthy's not the greatest guy. They should have put him in for some runs.
Yeah, that is true.
we have.
What do we think? We like Detroit this year? I mean, is it we're gonna restore the roar? I mean, they're the favorites now, so they only can disappoint, right?
I know.
Are they-
That's what I'm thinking.
Are you talking about that one guy who posted who's going to win the divisions and they were just ridiculous rankings on Twitter?
I mean,
You guys see
I've
that?
seen a couple of those, and like this year, I think there's a big gap. There's like 4 good teams in the NFL, right? Like the Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills, and whatever. And if you've got like someone else in the top 4, it's just not a good list at all. If you got something else.
So outside of those, let's stay on that. Chuck's on the clock, so let's. What do we want to do here first, and then I'll get to what I wanted to ask.
Do we
auto
like
drafting.
Mingo?
I like Mingo. I have a lot of Mingo. I'm also auto drafting Roshan, especially for the correlation. But
You have any
Oh.
love for Zeke Elliott's 19 touchdowns he's going to get? Or are we off of that here? I think it's too high.
I need 20.
Roshan, Mingo?
Let's go Mingo.
okay, Siri.
Okay. We'll go Mingo.
All right, so Ken, outside of your big 4, best 4 teams in the NFL, who's the most likely team outside of that group to compete for the championship this year in your mind?
I mean, realistically, no one. But I like the Cowboys more than people. I think some teams have them top 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if you left them out top 4. But I like the Cowboys there. I'm down on the Bengals. I'll tell you that the division is so tough, and they lost like a lot of their safeties, which is not a big thing. But when you lose like cluster guys like Bates and I think one other guy, like they're not on the team anymore, and then And like the offense you think would be good enough, but that division is so good, man. Like the
Mhm.
Steelers, I like. The Browns, you think will be better. The Ravens, I mean, they should be good. So I think the Bengals will disappoint.
Are we going with Roshan here?
I was gonna say last pick, so I definitely vote this pick.
Yeah, let's go with Roshan. We'll go with the boss man here. That's fine. We'll allow him to have a few picks here, right?
Thank you guys.
Um, I think the Ravens are the best value outside of that big group. A lot of the reasons you outlined. Ken, obviously, very competitive division. Whoever wins there is either going to definitely have a low seed, have to play in that wild card round, or these teams are going to be fighting as a wild card themselves. So they're going to have to take the longest possible path to the championship. But I'm super into Lamar Jackson running a very pass heavy offense under Todd Monken this year. I think that's going to be pretty exciting.
What about, on that same note? What about the Chargers? Herbert actually can throw the ball downfield. I think this year with Kellen Moore.
Team suck. Cursed team. Staley's
Okay.
still there.
All right.
I mean, with the seventh playoff team and the elimination of the second bye, the team that's the one seed, it's just so much equity in
Yeah,
both
true,
conferences.
true.
Like whoever gets like if KC is the one seed, like it's gonna be KC. If it's Buffalo, it's Buffalo, and the one seed is so important that way. And I don't. The Chargers are not gonna they can't beat KC for that. I don't think.
There's just so many teams that everybody thinks is going to be good, right? Like we've got three realistically in the East. Bills, Jets, and Dolphins are going to probably be exciting, at least on offense. We've got all those teams in the North you already talked about, Ken. It's just the Jaguars in the South, right? We don't really think anybody else there is worth our time here. And then in the West, obviously, you got the Chiefs and the Chargers. Someone that everyone is high on is going to miss the playoffs, is my point here, right? So who's that going to be?
When we get into the NFL or the playoff best ball contests towards the end of the season, I can't wait for the discussions we're going to have because I think that the strategy there is just it's so fun to draft those because typically the field doesn't understand what we're trying to do.
I'm excited for that too. On that note, let's make these last couple picks. I'll let you guys think about it. My question to all of you is, who is going to be a surprise playoff appearance? Which team that is considered bad is actually going to end up in the playoffs this year?
I mean, my hot take would be a Jaguars fade. I think the Titans, but the even sleepier team would be the Texans, who are on defense. They've got some pieces, and if Stroud is as good or even better than advertised, then and they've got good depth, right? We know injuries happen throughout the year. The starters aren't that strong, but actually they've got a lot of reserves that can are probably better than most teams. So I mean, if things break the right way and it's such a weak division, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans made a run. But I mean, don't count out the Titans because Rabel just seems to win games,
Yep.
and we only like the Jags because we think everyone else is bad. But maybe we're overlooking if the Jags aren't that good at all. Like you think Lawrence takes the next step, or if they're just kind of again and maybe win 10 games. So I don't think they're that good, but I think we're live in the South there.
What position are we going for here? There's a lot of running backs on the board, not many receivers, but there's receivers down here I don't mind.
You're in the driver's seat, Chuck. We will defer to you here.
Tank Dell, I just gassed up the Titans. You gotta.
All right, we're taking Tank Dell. We get the correlation with our Cleveland quarterback.
Oh, there we go.
Let's go for it.
Better.
I think they're like college friends or high school friends with Stroud. But
Chris has been talking about that since May, so our viewers certainly know that.
Yeah, all 7 viewers who are in on our early May drafts have gotten plenty of Stroud, Tank Dell stacks together when it was free. Now it's a little outrageous. Dell is definitely going to get in that starting lineup by October, right? I mean, I don't think he's going to start week 1. He should. Noah Brown isn't good, but
you can't keep a list of all the receivers that are drafted ahead of you and not start at some point this season.
Who are we thinking for our last running back? My default is usually this person right here, Karen Williams. It's a little early, but I'd rather take him knowing if we want him, if that's the guy we want.
I have no objection.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. Things have gone extremely sideways if we have to rely on the 5th running back on this roster as it is. So Kyron's fine with me.
Okay. And then we have 2 picks left. I figure we could probably go 2 receivers, or I'm comfortable with this running back room.
Me too.
So I guess
load up.
Brian, to answer your question, the surprise team to make the playoffs, and this is kind of building off of what Ken was just talking about. The NFC South sent an under 500 team to the playoffs last year as the division winner. I'm already high as it is on the offense with Tampa Bay. I don't think it's crazy that they could be the best team in that division. I really don't.
Oh,
I don't think so either. But actually, I have the Falcons written down in that division. I would not be shocked if they won double-digit games. Like they just run the shit out of the ball, efficient with Pitts and, or I guess not Pitts since he's dead apparently to the beat writers, but London and Mac Hollins, I guess. I have a feeling that they could win like 10 games in that division.
Have you guys looked at the Vegas win totals for every team?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a while. I'm sure Ken is much more well versed on that than I or maybe Chris are.
yeah, I think actually the markets have the Saints first in that division.
Yep.
And they're like odds on or something, like 50-50.
They're like 9.5 wins right now, right? Is that?
But that's because their schedule is so easy that you think. But if they're worse than you expect, then it wasn't an easy schedule and they just kind of suck. So I like taking a dog and win those South Division there.
The correlation there is that obviously the divisions play very similar schedules. The advantage that the Saints have is that they don't have to face Derek Carr twice. Whatever you think of Derek Carr, he's a little better than the average quarterback, but the other teams in the division do. So I'm down with the Falcons take as well. I don't think it's a lock that whoever the market is pegged as the favorite there is actually going to come through. So betting on any other option there is probably not that bad.
All right, Chuck, who you got? Who's a surprise playoff appearance?
I don't know. I don't think I have one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
Ask Chuck for a surprise 18th round pick, and he's got 650 of them.
Yeah, I don't care who wins games. I just as long as the players perform, it does.
All right. I got a new question then as we close out here. Surprise top 20 receiver that's being drafted outside the top 50.
Ooh, okay.
KJ Osborne. Just kidding.
I wouldn't be kidding. Like these. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, right? Yeah.
I think Zay Jones is going way too late, but I don't know about top 20.
I gotta pull guys up because not Zay Jones. Zay Jones not gonna do it. But
I got Michael Pittman.
I was gonna say, is Pittman in the top 50?
Yeah, I got Michael Pittman. I think he's in the top 15 in my rankings. He's being drafted around almost pick 80 at this point. I think that's way too low.
All right, let's take 2 shots on some late receivers. What are we doing here?
Puka Nacua. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. I wasn't sure, but yeah, Chris and I were talking about we're taking Kieran and Puka at the end of drafts just so frequently. It's free.
All right, and I will say nothing has changed my mind since our very first best ball draft in May that this guy still has a chance to be a significant player on one of the best offenses in the league with the best quarterback. It's Richie James, right? Like, they have 7 guys that are going to play. Eventually, the cream's going to rise to the top. And Richie James has produced when he's gotten opportunities. I don't think he should be. He did, like, he got steamed up a little bit, but now it's come back down since preseason. So I think Richie James is the guy still.
I'm a little embarrassed for you to see this, Brian. I only have 4% Richie James, but we're going to get that up to 5 right now.
That's okay. That's certainly okay. You only have 2% Mac Hollins, who's the number 3 pass catcher on the Falcons family. So.
And as much Justin Fields and DJ Moore as I have, what am I doing? Not getting that correlation constantly.
I have 15% Richie James.
Hey, there we go.
Nice number.
Money where your mouth is.
So that might be the quickest draft we've ever had on stream. We're at less than 45 minutes into it. This is basically my cookie cutter build through the first 8 rounds. I probably have this exact start a few times. So great. I'm glad to have your guys' input on this. It was awesome.
All right. Well, this is
it's more just a good time for all of us to come on here and hang out and mix it up. Potentially one final time. If the contest is still open, we'll try to get another show in tomorrow or Wednesday. Can't promise we'll have the super squad on hand for that, but seriously, it's been awesome doing this all summer long on the channel. For those of you who've been watching, we've really appreciated you checking in, hanging out with us, drafting some teams, whether they're here on Underdog or on the other sites that are available. I will say, even though this is an Underdog sponsored show, and of course we appreciate that, take a look at some of the other contests on other sites that are not even super close to maxing out. There's got to be some good value there over the next couple of days.
I
Absolutely,
agree.
100%.
There was one thing I wanted to talk about. I forgot to bring it up. Indianapolis running backs. Deion Jackson went 155. Are we interested in like Zach Moss or Evan Hull? What are we doing with Indianapolis?
I think I was never in on him, but these past 10 days or so, I've been drafting Evan Hall the most,
Mm-hmm.
right? I just feel
Same.
like they're not in contention in the end. Rookies perform better in the second half. Like they know what Zach Moss is, they know what Deion Jackson is. They don't seem super excited about those guys. Like they bought Kenyon Drake in. They draft Hall this year, so I feel like Hall is the guy, especially if he's being drafted last of the group. That's the guy we want right now.
Yep, undrafted right here. He's gonna, especially in BBM, if you're getting a few last drafts in, he's gonna be on a very low percentage of rosters, and so. But that was a great stream. I appreciate you guys. This is pretty fun. Anybody have anything they want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to say just what if I know you guys that have been watching this entire show probably know what's coming up for the NFL season, but I posted a video on our channel today that highlights our DFS content schedule for the entire season. So go watch that. Just click our channel name below the video here. Go check it out. Chuck's going to be doing our Sunday night showdown plugs. I'm sure he's going to be also doing some Underdog videos throughout the weeks. Chris is our NFL manager, writing the plug, doing the Friday main slate videos. And Ken is not going to be officially working for us this season, but Ken, I'm sure you're going to be in Discord giving us some bets and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be around. I'm excited. Excited to see all the content, but yeah, for sure I'll be around and probably in some of your contests.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, if you are signing up for Underdog for the first time, use the promo code Occupy. They'll match your deposit up to $100. It's $100 in site credit. You can enter some battle royales for week one, which are really fun. We'll get into those in a couple of streams. They also have a live finals this season, Dog Bowl qualifier. It's
Yeah.
looking like it's headed towards some overlay, even though it starts on Sunday. But a lot of people are talking. They actually took out the rake percent because so it's expensive to have a live event. You know, you got to fly people out, and the
Yep.
prize pool is not all contained in this prize breakdown. It's going to the finals. So get those drafts in, sign up for Underdog. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.